Hey everybody, it's Funny here once again. Hope you're doing well today. I'm rambling about the Hexinverter Mutant Hihats. It is the Edition Noir, the Black Edition, the reissue by Erica Synths, and it sounds like this. Okay, so, alright, might be a weird angle for me. Forgive me if I'm like doing this weird squatting thing, but hey, let's get on with it. I'm taking out my other pieces of the batch. I think for this we're gonna, what you were hearing was, for the synth voice, Piston Honda into Pony VCF into Desmodus Versio for a little bit of shimmer. That was just that synth voice you were hearing. Mutant Hi-Hats going into the vortices beside it, and then out into the Ghost for just a little bit of compression and a hair of reverb. We're gonna take off said hair of reverb for a moment and get this patch down to a pretty normal sounding thing. And then we're gonna go through the panels. So I will say, right off the rip, that a lot of the things that I like about this are kind of the simplicity of it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really like everything that Hexinverter has done, or did, I suppose, because they are no longer around, but Erica Synths is taking over manufacturing some of their stuff. Many of you probably saw or know me from that Archer's Rig video. At least amongst my friends, I have a reputation of being like the modular drums guy, because nobody seems to have the same love for modular drums that I do, but I think modular drums are like part of the reason to be in Eurorack for me. I love modular drums, and Mutant Hi-Hats looks awesome to me, but today I'm trying out for the first time, so let's check it out together. I will say, on the Archer's Rig, real quick on that one, I really like that thing. I think they had super clever routing options, or super clever control over all of the randomizations, the internal parameters that you're able to assign that randomization to all the different parameters through basically like not even a real screen and 3 buttons. But when it comes to this big system and doing these videos, I found it was just a little challenging to dive into the Archer's Rig and, you know, do a couple button combos every time I was trying to dial in hats. So I ended up preset surfing with most of the time, and I'm hoping that the Mutant Hi-Hats will be something that's just like a lot more, I don't know, if immediate's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but maybe just easy for me to wrap my head around. So what is it? 13 HP. I mean, uneven panel sizes, you got to shout that out. But you know, I don't know if I would take 14 over 13. The space is probably appreciated down the line anyway, but it is a analog 808 inspired hi-hat module, and I think when it comes to referencing the old Roland drum machines, sometimes like they were fairly fixed in their original forms, right? They were iconic, they had great sounds, but like you couldn't mutate them, forgive the pun, in the way that you can with their modular counterparts sometimes. So like, yes, it's 808 inspired, but like it's an analog noise synthesizer, and it can do a lot of things that maybe won't sound very 808-esque. However, the intro jam, I did try and do a little bit of hip-hop, so yeah, how that translated remains to be seen, but I'll go through the panel real quick. What you'll notice is, I'll take my CV out. You'll notice there is 2 trigger ins. There is one for the open, as indicated by this little iconography of the hi-hat being open, and then one for closed, as the one that looks less open. It doesn't look fully closed to me, but that's okay. There's triggers in for both of them that enact the VCAs. Now, I will say on the closed hi-hat, I didn't actually expect this, or didn't realize it, I guess, until I racked it up today here. The closed hi-hat doesn't or isn't affected by the decay. The closed hi-hat is fixed, so whatever you want to do to it, it's always going to be that ticky thing. So if that's something for your consideration, just keep that in mind. Now, obviously, you get the hi-hat, or you get the open hi-hat that has all of the control that you could want, but just keep that in mind. If that's a limitation that's important to you, that's something I haven't really seen much discussion about in the things I was reading about it online, but yeah, just keep that in mind. So 2 analog voices, one open, one closed. Closed being fixed, open being the one that you can control with this decay parameter. And the other thing that I also didn't expect was the outputs don't cascade, so one is for open, one is for closed, and never the 2 shall meet, at least as far as I understand. That's okay, it takes up 2 channels of my mixers, I don't have a problem with that, but I don't know why I was just being presumptive about it, cascading out onto one output. There's an accent input, which will control the levels of both of them, I believe. And then you have a couple different things going on here. So we're going to turn our drives down all the way. There's one shared noise source, and I believe this goes in both, so you can mute the noise source completely, which mutes the whole module completely, obviously. But as you go through this, it's not just amplitude, I believe it's also color. Or maybe it just happens to color it as you scan through it. But it definitely behaves differently, right? It's not strictly amplitude. So with that being said, you do get to filter it. So this is filter off. Let's do that sweep again. And you can't CV control much of these parameters. And to me, that's okay. I love the simplicity of it for my setup. You might really not appreciate that, but I think that's okay for me. There is an external in for external noise. Now, maybe just for funs, I'm going to turn my Piston Honda into a hi-hat, so let's send that. There you go. And that, honestly, kind of an underrated use, I think, for this thing, because it's fun to throw other noise sources at it, right? If we make this even crazier. Go surf a couple presets. And then we'll drive them. Yeah. And maybe, I think, here, if we take this out, we're only listening to the open hat. So internal noise source, external synth source. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's cool. There's a filter here as well. Maybe I'll go in the order of the panel. There is this drive section, and I believe this is before the filter. It might be after, though. But I think the patch order internally isn't as important as just listening for sculpting the tone out, right? It's all noise, and it all, it sounds good. I'm not to say that, you shouldn't care about how you sculpt your noise, but just to say that these are kind of like macro controls on the sound tools in your belt. Now I am sending a random, or I was in the intro patch sending a random CV to the decay. Now one thing I'll also point out is the decay only applies to the open hi-hat, right? Like I said, there's fixed decay on that closed hi-hat, so yeah, I like to keep it short and then send some modulation to that decay. And just, I like hi-hats that feel really random, really evolving, you know what I mean? It feels like somebody's actually there, not that somebody needs to be there or I'm trying to recreate a real drum or anything, but I just like that feeling, like it kind of grooves when there's randomness to it, you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? I hope so. But then if we overdrive them, they will get into a little bit of clappy territory. And I saw videos of people using these as snare drums too. Noise is noise, and you can totally use it in that regard. So, or for that use case. Now, there is also, these voices can be completely independent, and they do have this three-way switch to select how they choke. You can have them choke completely in the exclude option. You can have them not choke at all, in a pretty extreme example there, or it can have it fade. So I think if the choking is just a little You hear there's like a little bit of a grasping sort of thing. Forgive me, I'm using all these like analog drummer terms, but again, it's just like another tool in your sound sculpting palette, I suppose. Then the biggest one, probably filter. If you turn that on, it's a bandpass filter. It is fixed resonance. It sounds good, but it let's go back to exclude. But let's find a way that we can use it in an audible way so you can hear that filter. So because it's bandpass, you don't have that big like DJ filter sweep thing going on. But when you get to points where the resonance is just hitting that and making that noise kind of go, I like that. And I want to try and avoid getting into like the clap territory because I like using claps. So I'll bring my clap in. We'll just noodle with it. The thing is, I don't have specific patches I'm aiming to go for now. It's just kind of fun to noodle with it, right? So let's bring in our kick again. It's fun to just kind of hip hop, you know? Sound like I'm retired. Oh, you want to do the hip hop, sonny? Well, Mutant Hi-Hats will do that. This is a nice patch. Bring some more. Bring some reverb down. This is the Ghost. High pass. Distortion in. I just think they sound great. Bring your noises down, up. Overdrive the crap out of it. Yeah, I think the filter sounds better with the bandpass kind of in the high end, right? If you take the filter off, though, you can go. Take the VCA off, too, let it just ring out, or the exclusion out. Yeah, I love the simplicity, and all of these sounds sound great. High pass. Shift the bandpass up, bring it back in. It's fun to like just drive the open hat a hair and then basically blow out the closed one. I like that sound too. And I'm gonna bring my synth voice back in. Yeah. I like that. I do kind of wish there was CV control of that filter because I'm already hearing a little bit of like modulation that should be going on there. And you're like, you know? Tafony makes noises to himself in his bedroom. That's the Eggerson's clapper. Like that one too. Oh yeah. Gets a little nasty. Yeah. So cranking up that CV level to let the decays be totally random on the open side. Always modulate your decays. What did Aphex Twin say? Low pass. Resonance up. Maybe this is what I'm hearing on my whole mix and not within the hi-hats themselves. Let's go. Back in. Tone in. High pass. Tone out. And back in. Drive them both. Yeah, if you're going to drive that open hi-hat, you better be careful with your decays. Alright, what's another noise source, an external one we can use, and then I'll send you all off. I think this thing's really sweet. I love the simplicity. How's that? Mind phaser, just because it's also hex inverter. And it goes. That's fun. Phase modulation going in. Those decays are pretty short, so. The fix to index up wave shaper. Again, it's basically noise, but hey, makes for a nice hi-hat. Phase modulation. Going in. Drive the noise back in. Too much FM. Yeah. Noise up and down. Yeah. Anyway, that's definitely underrated use for that. That's actually a decent VCA and filter combo for how cheap it is. That's great. I love modular drums. I know they're not for everybody, but hey, they're definitely for me. High pass. I'm tafony. Yeah, just some straightforward modular goodness in hi-hat form. Hey, I appreciate you so much for watching. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.